The girl with the notebook's rain was falling gently that morning. Not heavy, not loud, just soft. Like the sky was crying without wanting anyone to notice. The sidewalk in front of the studio was filled with people, grips with tool belts, camera, assistants wheeling big cases, extras in costume, crew members rushing to meet the morning call time. No one looked up. No one slowed down. Heads were down, earbuds in. Coffee cups clutched like shields. The world moved fast. Too fast to see anything small, and yet there she was, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, standing at the edge of the pavement just past the security gate. Her pink raincoat was 2 sizes too big. Her boots were muddy. In her hands, a worn spiral. Notebook, the pages curled and soaked. She wasn't crying. She wasn't waving. It was just standing there still, waiting. Most people didn't notice her. Some did and glanced away. Some frowned and kept walking. One man even muttered, "Parents these days," before brushing past with a shrug. But then came Keanu. He was running late. His driver had taken a wrong turn, and he'd skipped breakfast, had a full day of reshoots, press interviews, and a charity appearance. His schedule was tight. Tight enough to ignore anything not in the calendar, but something made him stop. Maybe it was how quiet the girl was, or maybe it was how still she stood while the whole world rushed by. Maybe it was just that feeling, the one that pokes you. Deep inside, when something isn't right, he paused, turned, walked back slowly. People stared. Someone whispered, "What is he doing?" But he didn't hear them. He knelt beside the girl. "Hey," he said softly, careful not to scare her. "Are you okay?" The girl looked up. Her eyes were wide and brown, like they held too much for someone so small. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. Instead, she held out her notebook. Keanu took it gently. The cover was faded, drawn with crayons. The first page had a name written in shaky letters, Emily, 7 years old. Beneath that, a message: "Dear Mr. Reeves, my brother is sick. He says you are brave. He says maybe if you sign my notebook, he will smile again." Keanu felt his throat tighten. Before he could say a word, a woman ran over from across the street. She was breathless, panicked. "I'm so sorry," she said. "She slipped away while I was parking. I told her to wait in the car. It's just I'm sorry." Keanu stood, still holding the notebook. "It's okay," he said gently. The mother looked like she hadn't slept in days. Dark circles under her eyes, her hands trembling. She reached for Emily's shoulder. "You scared me," she whispered, tears threatening. "No, can't just..." Keanu touched her arm lightly. "She's got a strong heart," he said, "and a brave brother, from what I hear." He turned back to Emily and knelt again. "What's your brother's name, Jake?" she said, finally speaking. Her voice was soft but clear. "He likes movies with swords and bikes." Keanu smiled, the real kind. The kind that comes from deep down. "Bikes, huh? I like bikes too." He opened the notebook and took a pen from his coat. He wrote slowly, carefully, as if the ink itself mattered. "To Jake, the bravest warrior I never met. Your sister is amazing, and I believe in you." He handed it back and tapped the page. "Make sure he sees this, okay?" Emily nodded. Her small fingers curled around the notebook like it was something sacred. The mother wiped her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I didn't know she was planning this. He talks about you every day. When he's in pain, she draws pictures and tells him stories." I think she believed. If you saw her, something would change. Keanu didn't say anything for a moment. The rain was still falling, a little heavier now. "Maybe she's right," he said quietly. He turned and walked toward the studio entrance. Someone called his name. His assistant held up a clipboard. The press were waiting. But Keanu didn't rush. Because sometimes, the smallest thing a child with a notebook can stop even the biggest machine. And maybe that's the whole point. But this was just the beginning. Later that afternoon, Ana de Armas would find herself standing beside Keanu at craft services. She hadn't seen what happened that morning, but she would soon, because something had changed in Keanu's eyes. And it wouldn't be long before Yana got a letter to do, a letter that would make her question everything she thought she knew. And when she read it, she would cry. Asterisk, but not for the reason you think. The letter Anna never expected. The studio was buzzing by mid-afternoon. Lights were being tested. Camera rigs rolled across the floor. The director shouted across the set, adjusting angles and lines. Extras waited in silence. And in the middle of it all stood Ana de Armas, sipping lukewarm tea from a paper cup. She was tired, not from the work. She loved the work, but from something else, something inside. Lately, things felt heavier. The long days, the empty hotel rooms, the interviews where she had to smile even when she didn't want to, the stories online that never got her right. She had learned to keep her head high, to walk like everything was okay, to laugh on cue. But today, something inside her felt fragile, like glass just before it cracks. She looked over and saw Keanu talking to the director. He seemed calm, focused, but there was something different. His movements slower, his voice softer. Like part of him was still somewhere else. As she turned back toward her tea, one of the crew members approached. He was young, nervous, holding something in both hands like it might break. "Miss Anna," he asked. Someone left this for you. Outside the trailer." She looked down. It was a small envelope, pale yellow. No stamp. Her name written in pencil. Just Anna. She frowned. "Who gave it to you?" The crew member shook his head. "I didn't see. It was just there on your steps." She took the envelope gently, thanked him, and walked away from the crowd. Behind the soundstage, near a row of parked trailers, she sat on a step and opened it. The paper inside was lined and folded carefully. She opened it and began to read. "Dear Anna, my name is Jake. I am 9. I'm sick but not sad, because my sister tells me about you. She says you're strong and kind and you helped her in the night when she was scared. I think you're like the princess in my book. She's brave, even when people don't see it. I don't know how many movies you made. I only saw one. The one with the house and the fire and you ran through the smoke. You didn't stop. That was cool. I think being strong is not about muscles. It's about staying when it's hard. My doctor said sometimes people forget to smile when they're tired. So if you are tired, that's okay. I still think you're a real star. Thank you for making my sister smile. She drew a picture of you yesterday. It's you on a dragon. She says that's what you ride when you're not acting." Your friend Jake. Anna stared at the letter for a long time. The air around her felt still. Her hands shook just a little. She had no idea who Jake was, but she didn't need to. Something about the letter felt like it had come at exactly the right moment. Not for fame, not for promotion, but for her. For the part of her that was struggling quietly beneath the surface. She folded the letter again and held it to her chest. "You okay?" The voice came from behind. She turned and saw Keanu standing there, a small bag of chips in one hand. She nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think I am now." He looked down at the envelope in her hand. His expression softened. "Jake," he said. Her eyes widened. "Do you know him?" Keanu nodded. "His sister?" She came to the gate this morning, stood in the rain, holding his notebook. Anna looked down at the envelope again, then back at Keanu. "Why would they write to me? I was sat beside her on the step." "Maybe he saw something in you you forgot. To see in yourself." Anna didn't speak for a moment, and she whispered, "I didn't think anyone noticed." Keanu smiled gently. Sometimes the ones who say the least notice the most. For a long moment, they just sat there. Two people. One moment, no cameras. Then Keanu looked at her and said, "You want to go meet him?" Anna blinked. "Wait, what? Jake Keanu?" Said again. "He lives about an hour from here. Was going to send something, but maybe showing up means more." Anna hesitated. Her schedule was packed. Interviews, fittings, meetings, all lined up like dominoes. But none of that felt real right now. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I do." An hour later, they were in a car. Keanu was driving. Anna sat beside him, holding a small gift bag filled with a few things she grabbed from her trailer, some signed photos. Scarf, a small toy dragon. The city faded behind them. The streets turned to quiet neighborhoods. The sky was still gray. The world had slowed down. Do you get letters like that a lot? Anna asked, breaking the silence. Keanu glanced at her. Sometimes. But this one felt different. Something told me not to walk past her, Anna nodded. I'm glad you didn't. They pulled into a quiet street lined with trees. The house was small, paint peeling, the yard uncut. But there were chalk drawings on the sidewalk, stars, smiley faces. One stick figure with a cape. Anna stared at them, her throat tight. The door opened before they even knocked. Emily stood there with wide eyes. She looked at Anna and gasped. You came, she whispered. Anna knelt down to her level. Your drawing of me on a dragon? That's my favorite thing in the world now. Emily beamed, then turned and shouted into the house. Jake! They're here! A voice came from inside, weak but full of joy. No way. Anna and Keanu looked at each other and smiled. They were about to walk through a door that would change everything. Because Jake wasn't just a fan. He had a secret to tell, and that secret would leave Anna in tears, not out of sadness, but something deeper, something she hadn't felt in a long, long time. Jake's secret room was warm. Soft yellow light glowed from a small lamp near the window. Drawings covered the walls, paper dragons, superheroes, stars, and faces with wide smiles. In the center was a bed, piled with blankets and pillows. On that bed lay a boy with a thin frame, pale skin, and bright eyes that seemed to glow with life even when his body looked tired. Hi, he said with a grin. I didn't think you'd actually come. Anna stepped forward slowly, still holding the little bag. Hi, Jake. Think you're the bravest person I've ever met. Jake chuckled. Nah, I'm just bored a lot. Drawing helps. Ah! Keanu smiled and pulled up a small stool beside the bed. Bored and brilliant, he said. Your letter made us stop everything today. Jake looked at Keanu, then at Anna, and whispered, Thank you. Both of you. Anna sat beside him and handed him the gift bag. I brought something, she said. Not a dragon, but close. Jake opened the bag slowly. His eyes widened. He saw the scarf and the toy dragon. No way. She has wings. Yep, Anna said. Just like your picture. Emily stood nearby, beaming. Her tiny hands clasped tightly in front of her. Then Jake looked at Keanu. His voice lowered. Can I tell you something? It's like a real thing. Keanu leaned forward. Of course. Jake glanced at the door, then back at them. I think I'm supposed to die soon. But I'm not scared. Anna froze. Her breath caught. In her throat, Keanu didn't flinch. He just listened. Jake continued. They don't say it out loud, but I hear things. I know what's going on. Mom cries sometimes when she thinks we're asleep. Anna gently reached for Jake's hand. I'm so sorry, she whispered. But Jake shook his head. Don't be. I'm not sad. You know why? They waited because I made a plan, he said proudly. If I don't make it, I want to leave. Something behind. Something happy. Something that shows people that, even if I'm small, I mattered. He pointed to the drawings on the wall. These are for my light box. That's what I call it. A box of drawings and notes that Mom will keep. So maybe someday, if someone else feels scared or alone, she can show them the drawings. Looked at Anna. You're in most of them. On the dragon. Flying, helping. Anna blinked back tears. Yeah, Jake said. Because you look like someone who would protect people, even if you didn't have to. Keanu leaned back, quietly watching. He didn't need to say anything. Not yet. Then Jake turned to him. You're in some too, but usually you're riding. A motorcycle made of stars. Keanu smiled softly. Sounds like my kind of ride. Everyone laughed. But then Jake's tone changed. He lowered his voice again. But there's one drawing I haven't finished yet, he said. It's called When Everyone Kept Walking. It's about a bunch of people walking past a little kid in the rain. But then one person stops. Anna covered her mouth. You, Jake said, pointing to Keanu. You stop, and the world changes a little. Keanu didn't speak for a moment. His eyes glistened, but he held it in. Jake smiled wide. So now that you're here, I can finish it. Emily ran to get the drawing pad. Jake took it with careful hands. The pencil moved slowly, but steady. He drew a small figure standing in the rain, clutching a notebook, then a taller figure walking back toward her. Anna watched every line form, each stroke full of meaning. When he was done, he held it up. "There," he said. "Now it's real." Keanu looked at the picture. "You just made something more powerful than any movie will ever do." Jake grinned. "Good, because you both make people feel less alone." "I wanted to do that too." It stayed for over an hour. Anna read to Jake from one of his storybooks. Keanu helped him fix a toy spaceship. Emily danced around the room, showing off her new drawings. The mother, quiet and teary-eyed, brought juice and cookies and kept whispering thank you over and over again. And for that moment, the whole world outside faded. No cameras, no scripts, just human hearts, sharing something real. But when Anna and Keanu finally stood to leave, Jake looked serious. "Can I ask one last thing?" he said. Anna bent down. "Anything? Can you tell my story?" he asked. "Not just to actors, to everyone, so people remember to stop. Just once, when someone's standing in the rain." Anna touched his cheek. "We will, I promise." Keanu nodded too. "We won't let the world forget you, Jake." Jake smiled. "Then it's okay now." On the ride back, Anna was quiet. She held the drawing in her lap, the one Jake had finished. Her fingers traced the lines over and over. Keanu finally broke the silence. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how one moment," she said softly, "can change everything, how you stopped. How that little girl believed it could matter." Keanu smiled gently. "Sometimes the smallest step is the most important." Anna looked out the window. "We need to do something," she whispered. "Something big. For Jake." And just like that, an idea was born. An idea that would start small, but grow into something the world would never forget. The promised gross the next morning was quiet on set. The sky was clear after days of soft rain, but something in the air still felt heavy. It wasn't sadness. It was something else, something deeper. It's like everyone was walking through a moment they didn't know had already changed them. Ana de Armas walked onto the lot with purpose. No makeup, no assistant, no phones buzzing around her, just her. Holding Jake's drawing, she went straight to Keanu's trailer and knocked softly. He opened the door almost immediately, still tying his boots. "Morning." Anna held up the drawing. "We're going to tell his story." Keanu stepped aside so she could come in. "I was hoping you'd say that." She sat down at the small table inside. "It's not just an Instagram post. It's not just a nice quote. I mean, really tell it. Use everything we have, our voice, our people, our reach." Keanu nodded. "What do you have in mind?" Anna looked serious. "A documentary. Short, simple, emotional, real. Jake's voice. Emily's drawings. Maybe some animation of his stories. Just something pure." Keanu thought for a moment, then smiled. "You're not just a dragon rider. You're a producer now." Anna chuckled, then grew quiet. "I just don't want him to disappear." Keanu met her eyes. "He won't." Within hours, they had a plan. Keanu called a friend and independent filmmaker who owed him a favor. Anna reached out to a small studio that specialized in hand-drawn animation. They called Jake's mom, who cried when they explained the idea. Emily squealed so loud over the phone they had to pull it away. The studio gave them a few days off. Not officially, but when Keanu and Anna said it was important, no one argued. By the next evening, they were sitting in Jake's living room again, this time with cameras. But the cameras were quiet, respectful, hidden behind soft lights and kind voices. Jake sat up in bed, tired but smiling. "I feel famous," he said. Anna laughed. "You are?" The interviewer spoke gently. "Jake, what do you want people to know?" Jake blinked, then looked right into the lens. That even if someone looks okay, they might be fighting a big storm inside. So don't just walk by. Stop, even for a second. It can mean everything. Then he paused. "And also, tell stories. Because stories help us feel less scared. even when the endings are sad. The room was silent for a moment. Then Keanu leaned in. That's the most powerful thing I've heard all year. Emily came over and whispered, "Can I show them the dragon?" Anna pulled her into her lap. "Show them everything, sweetheart." She held up a drawing Anna with wings made of light, flying over a dark city. Keanu behind her on a star bike, throwing little sparks that lit up the streets. "This is what Jake dreams about when he's tired," Emily said proudly. The cameras kept rolling. The story was being born. 2 weeks later, the short film was finished. 4 minutes long. No big title. No dramatic music. Just Jake's voice, talking softly. Emily's drawings, moving gently across the screen. Scenes of rain. Moments of stillness. A single shot of Keanu's hand taking the notebook, Anna brushing a tear from Jake's cheek. They uploaded it on a Sunday. Just one caption. When everyone kept walking, no hashtags. No promotions, no promotions. Within 12 hours, it had over 2 million views. People shared it, reposted it. Teachers played it in classrooms. Nurses showed it in waiting rooms. Strangers left comments like, "I stopped for someone today because of this. My son is battling cancer. This made me feel less alone. We need more Jakes." In this world, Anna sat on her couch, scrolling through the comments. Tears streamed down her face. Not sad tears, grateful ones. Keanu called her later that night. "You see what you did?" said. Anna shook her head. "What we did." Keanu paused. "You ready for what comes next?" "What do you mean?" People are going to ask. Media, reporters, the one interviews. The world just woke up. Anna took a deep breath, and let's give them the right answer. A few days later, they went on a morning show together. The host smiled too much. The lights were too bright. They stayed calm. The host asked, "So what made you stop? What made you care?" Keanu looked into the camera and said quietly, "Because someone small believed it could matter." Anna added, "And because we're not here to walk past each other, we're here to notice. Even the quiet ones." Jake watched from home. His mom held his hand the whole time. "They're talking about you, baby," she whispered. Jake smiled weakly. Then maybe someone else will be kind to the next Emily. But one night, just as the world was opening, "It's Arms," Jake's mother called Keanu directly. Her voice was shaking. "He's not doing well," she said. They said, "Maybe days." Keanu stood still, the phone to his ear, his heart silent. "We'll be there," he said. And they were. Within hours, Anna and Keanu returned to Jake's home. No cameras this time, no film crew, just them, just family. Now Jake was barely awake, tubes by his bed, machines humming low. Now what? When he saw them, his eyes lit up. "You came back," he whispered. "Always," Anna said, sitting beside him. Keanu reached into his coat and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. "We brought something for you this time." Jake blinked slowly. "What is it?" "Your story," Keanu said. "It's going to be a book, with your name on it." Anna nodded. "And all the money from it will go to help kids like you, sisters like Emily." Jake smiled weakly. "Love you guys." Emily hugged him tight. "You're a hero," Anna whispered. "You changed us." "You changed the world," Keanu added. Jake's breathing slowed, but he smiled. "Then it's okay," he said softly. His eyes closed. The room fell quiet, and for a long time, no one moved. But Jake's light didn't end there. The next morning, Anna stood on a stage at a children's hospital, announcing the Jake Projecta Foundation to support kids fighting illness through art storytelling. Kindness. Keanu stood beside her, holding a copy of the book. On the cover was a small child, in a raincoat, and beside her, a man stopping to kneel down. The title read, "When Everyone Kept Walking." When kindness goes, Viralth world didn't stop. It never does. But something shifted. The short film had crossed 10 million views. The book was already on its second print run. News channels were calling it the softest revolution. People were tagging each other in posts, sharing stories of small kindness. Hospitals began ordering copies of When Everyone Kept Walking for their children's wings, and at the center of it all quietly, okay, Humbly stood Aina and Keanu, but with light comes shadow, and soon it found them. It started with a headline on a celebrity gossip site. Real or real? Actors use sick boy's story to boost brand. Then came the questions. Was this planned? Are they promoting a movie? How much money are they making? Anna read the words in silence, sitting in her trailer, her hands gripping her phone. She felt something sharp in her chest, not anger, not even hurt, just tired. Keanu knocked gently and stepped inside. He had already seen it too. Don't let it in, he said quietly. Anna looked up. Why did they twist everything? Because it's easier than believing someone just cared. She looked away. Jake's not here to speak for himself anymore. We are, Keanu said gently, and we know the truth. His mother knows the truth. Emily does. Anna closed her eyes. We should pull back, she whispered. Let it rest. Keanu sat beside her. Or we could finish what we started. She looked at him. You remember why we started this? He asked. Anna nodded. Because one small moment mattered. Exactly, he said. And it still does. They decided to keep going, but quieter now, not on big shows, not in front of bright lights. They went to schools, 2 small hospitals, 2 shelters. They sat with kids who didn't speak much, who drew pictures instead of words, lit up when. Anna smiled and listened when Keanu knelt beside them, and slowly, the noise faded. People saw the real story again, not the gossip, not the headlines, just Jake, just the moment, just the reason they stopped. One afternoon, they were invited to a small event at a children's library. No press, just a group of 10 kids. They sat on colorful beanbags. The librarian whispered, They've all been through a lot. Anna nodded. We don't need cameras. Keanu pulled out a worn copy of When Everyone Kept Walking. He read aloud, softly, carefully, and when he finished, a small hand rose. A girl with short hair, maybe 6, thin arms, bright eyes. Did Jake really exist? She asked Anna, smiled and nodded. Yes, sweetheart. He was our friend. The girl held up a crayon drawing she made during the reading. It showed her and Jake sitting on a bench, watching stars fall like rain. I think he visits people, she whispered, to make them feel better. Keanu felt something catch in his throat. Anna gently took the picture and kissed the corner of it. I think you're right. Later that night, as they left the library, a woman approached quietly. She was older, dressed simply. She didn't ask for a selfie or an autograph. I just wanted to say thank you, she said. My son passed last year. I haven't been able to walk past his room. But after seeing your story, I opened the door today. I sat in his chair. And for the first time, I smiled. Aina's hand flew to her mouth. Keanu stepped forward and hugged the woman gently. You gave us that gift, she said. Jake did too. But something else was happening now. Something Keanu had noticed building one morning. After a quiet visit to a shelter, a teenage boy approached him in the parking lot. He looked nervous, holding something behind his back. Hey, he said. You're him, right? Keanu smiled gently. I'm just me. How can I help? The boy pulled out a backpack. Inside it was filled with notebooks. Dozens. I've been drawing, he said, for years, but I never showed anyone. Thought no one cared. He pulled out one sketch. Showed a crowd walking through rain, just like Jake's drawing, except this time, everyone had stopped. Everyone was holding hands. Keanu felt his eyes sting. Can I give these to the project? The boy asked. For other kids? Keanu nodded slowly. Yes, and thank you. The Jake Project began receiving letters from around the world, from Japan, from Brazil, from Egypt. People of all ages, sending art, poems, stories. Entire classrooms dedicating their walls to moments that matter. A girl in Canada sent a letter saying she had stopped her dad from yelling at a stranger because of Jake's film. A boy in India drew himself stopping to give food to a dog. In the rain, Jake's story had crossed oceans. He had never left his bed. But his light now touched thousands. Then came the letter that changed everything again. Anna found it in her trailer. No return address. No name, just one line on the outside. From someone who used to walk past inside was a folded note. I've spent my whole life not seeing people. I was busy, focused, important. Maybe. But I watched your film. I read your book. And I remembered. A girl I once ignored? She was standing by the gate of a studio, holding a notebook. I didn't stop. I still remember her face. I think it was Jake's sister. And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Thank you, because now I stop. Anna felt her heart ache. This was what Jake had meant. That even years later, kindness could echo. That one step back, one glance. One small decision could rewrite someone's story. Keanu met her later that evening. She showed him the letter. He read it in silence, then folded it slowly. We should do one last thing, he said. What? Build something? Something real? Place? Anna looked at him, like a building, like a space for stillness, Keanu said, where people can come, sit, draw, cry, rest, a place where no one walks past. Anna smiled. We'll call it the bench. Yes, Keanu whispered. The place where people finally stop. The bench where the world slowed down a year later. The city was still busy. Cars still honked. People still rushed to work, heads down, eyes on phones. The world kept moving, as it always did, but on a quiet corner between two tall buildings. Something had changed beneath a blooming tree. Surrounded by flowers and chalk drawings, stood a small wooden bench, plain, peaceful, but powerful in its silence above it. Carved into a smooth stone plaque were 6 simple words. This is where someone finally stopped. They called it the Bench of Jake. No flashing signs. No advertisements. Just a space for people to breathe, to pause, to act, feel. The bench was Anna's idea. She'd worked for months with Keanu and a small team of volunteers artists. Teachers, counselors, and a few parents who had lost their children. It was built near the very place where Emily had once stood in the rain with her. Notebook, it wasn't just a memorial, it was a beginning. On the day the bench opened, the skies were clear. Soft sun filtered through the tree leaves. Children played nearby. People gathered, quiet but full of emotion. Anna stood with Emily, now a little taller, holding her hand. Keanu stood beside them, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a folded piece of paper. The mayor gave a short speech. Nurse from Jake's hospital told a story about how he once gave his only toy to another boy during chemo, a boy who later recovered. Jake gave him hope, she said, her voice cracking. Then Keanu stepped forward. No microphones, no cameras, just his voice steady and soft. A long time ago, he began, I was walking to work. I was in a rush, like always, like most people. And then I saw a child in the rain. She didn't wave, didn't shout, just stood still, holding a notebook. Paused. I almost kept walking, but something inside me said, stop. His voice grew even softer. I didn't know that stopping would change everything. I didn't know her brother was fighting for his life. I didn't know he would write a letter that would remind us all what matters most. Anna squeezed Emily's hand. Keanu continued. Jake didn't ask for attention. He asked for kindness. He didn't ask for fame. He asked us to care. Unfolded the paper in his hand. This was Jake's last note, he said. His mom gave it to us. He read aloud. Dear world, if you ever see someone standing alone, maybe just look. Maybe just ask if they're okay. Even if you're late. Even if you're tired. Because that might be the day they need it most. Love, Jake. No one spoke. Many cried. Emily placed a small drawing on the bench, a picture of her and Jake on a hill. Watching the stars, Anna stepped forward and sat on the bench. She didn't say anything. She just sat, quiet, still, and slowly. Others joined. An elderly woman sat beside her, then a teenager. Then a father holding a baby. People took turns. No talking, just stopping, just remembering. Over the next few months, the bench became something more. A man, who had just lost his job, sat there and wrote a poem. A woman fleeing a bad relationship. left a note under the seat that said, "I'm still here." School children came in groups and left drawings taped to the tree. A lonely veteran came every morning, just to sit in peace. And one day, someone noticed a small paper tucked into the corner. No name, just 3 words. "Thank you, Jake." Anna and Keanu kept visiting. Not for shows, not for press, just to sit. Sometimes they spoke to people. Sometimes they just listened. Sometimes they said nothing at all. But every time they left, the bench was a little more full with art letters. Flowers, toys, the world still rushed by. But not here. Not anymore. Then one day, on a quiet morning, Keanu arrived early. Anna was already there, sitting on the bench, staring ahead. She looked up at him, eyes gentle. "Do you think he knows?" she asked. Keanu sat beside her. "I think he always did." Anna smiled. "We were just 2 people walking fast, and he made us slow down." Keanu nodded. He made the whole world slow down. They sat in silence as the city moved around them. Birds chirped. Leaves rustled. A child nearby giggled. And for one perfect moment, time stood still. Years passed. More benches appeared in other cities, every one of them plain. Every one of them. Powerful people stopped. People cared. People remembered Jake one morning. A girl sat on the original bench holding a red notebook. She was about 8. Her mother stood nearby, smiling gently. The girl whispered, "Who made this bench?" The mother said softly, "A little boy who reminded the world to be kind." The girl looked down at her notebook, then up at the sky. "I hope he knows we listened. Because kindness is like that. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand it. Simply waits for us to stop, to see, to care. Just once. And that once can change everything."